Hey, I'm Mike Acosta.
And I'm Jim Stout.
And welcome back. And if this is the first video, well, welcome. Hey, we're checking out the brand new Roland Boutique VP-03 vocoder. Now, we already did a video on the TR-09. We did one on the TB-03. And now we get to show you the unboxing of the brand new VP-03 vocoder.
And this one is based off the VP-330. And again, they go back and they put the original instrument on there, and they, you know, a little bit of history about it. And it's fascinating. And this is definitely, you know, super famous sounding vocoder.
Now, I actually never I never owned one of those. The only time I ever got to use one was when we were working at Roland, and I think it was for a NAMM show where I think it was for the V-Synth, and we were comparing
VC2.
We were comparing the vocoders and so forth. And then after that, I think like 2 or 3 years later, Roland released, I think it was like the VP-550.
The 550 and the 770. The 550 was way underpowered, in my opinion. The 770 sounded really good.
Yeah, it was at a NAMM show. They released a kind of like a reincarnation of it, and the strings were really good on it, and I got to play with that a little bit. But have always heard really great things about, you know, the VP-330 vocoder. Yeah,
some of the famous things, like the original Tron soundtrack, you know, the choirs and those kind of things. Yeah, they were really. Chromeo's a huge fan of these guys, so they use TalkBox and this vocoder quite a bit in all their stuff.
So far, this looks really cool. It actually has those colored buttons that we saw on some of those products, you know, from the 80s and stuff, like on the TR-808. And so just like on the original, you have the colored buttons there, and you have green, yellow. So again, over the faceplate here, it looks really cool. It's got nice rocker switches here, which is really cool. You've got the mod strips and XLR balanced mic input on the front there.
I wonder, yeah, it's got a phantom power too.
Nice.
Very cool. That's I was curious about that. And again, it's the same build. The USB, volume, phones, output. This one does not have a mix input. I guess they had to use that for this.
There's something else in this box.
What is it?
I don't know.
Is it a microphone?
Is it? Oh shit!
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's cool.
All right, Roland. All right,
Nice.
so you get a microphone with
I
it.
feel like Bob Barker. Price is Right.
Survey says.
Survey says. I think that's the wrong show. I think, oh, that was Family Feud.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Same thing, dude. They all have those like thin little microphones, and you know.
That's
all right,
very
so
cool.
it's cool, and you get an extra windscreen on it, which is pretty cool because again, obviously, you know, sometimes you may have somebody else using it or singing into it, or you may have a female using it and her lipstick gets all over it, and it's pretty damn gross, man. Like I used to hate that. Microphones and they have lipstick residue. It was the sickest thing. I just absolutely hated it.
That's gross.
So very cool. You get an extra windscreen there.
So now one of the things that I noticed right off the bat here is that it doesn't have that little pop-up shell like the TR-09 and the TB-03 did. So you need
the K25 keyboard module with this. So.
And we actually have one of those.
Yeah, we have. Everybody's seen that already. So that's basically you slide it into the keyboard attachment, and now you have keys to it. And so I'm guessing that it's got the ribbon cable. Yeah. So right in here is where you would connect the K25 keyboard module right into it, and then you have full keys control. But if you have a MIDI controller or anything like that, obviously you've got your MIDI inputs in and outs on the back. So really simple to just, you know, connect it to whatever MIDI controller you have, and, you know, keyboard controller, and just start, you know, playing away.
Now I'm a huge fan of vocoders, and the only I've had I've had a 350, which is the rack mount version, and then I used to have a Korg VC10, but the VP-330 always kind of eluded me. I mean, I've played them a bunch and sampled them and stuff, but they are very expensive and very rare. So I know the original VC2 was really good. So let's have a listen to it.
Yeah, the only vocoders that I've actually ever owned, and I still own, is the Novation Nova. So now that was a 6-part multi-timbral synth from Novation. It was called the Nova Laptop because it was just, a little desktop module and whatnot, and you had the rack ears for it. But it did have a really, really good vocoder built in, and it had the super analog, technology that, that they were touting at the time. But I always described that unit as like this liquidy kind of sound because of the reverbs, and it was a really cool vocoder. So
yeah, I always thought that the VP-03 had that sound.
Oh yeah,
and that was the sound of a vocoder. Whenever it really want to hear one, it's got that super cool robotic texture to it.
And you were hearing a lot of stuff like, I don't know exactly. I know the VP-03 was used on a lot of like the late '80s, when that whole electronic funk sound was coming out, like Africa Bambaataa, and then groups like Twilight 22, Electric Kingdom, and all these kind of tracks where you were hearing all this robotic kind of stuff. And that's what really turned me on to like vocoders back then and stuff. So
yeah,
really,
I think for me it was Funky Town.
Ah.
Funky Town. I remember first time I ever heard Funky Town when I was a kid. I was just like, what is that sound? And I was amazed with it. So I think yeah, let's plug it in and have a listen.
All right.